Yet another warm night here in Camp Massateter, and we are getting going early with unfinished edits because we have a trail angel to meet to go to Maconda and try and get my shoes and save my feet from more damage. So unfortunately, it looks like the forecast moving forward is going to go from the slightly challenging thing we've had to 100 degrees or so, which usually once I'm above 95, that's the point where siestas become non-optional based on past stuff. So we are probably going to have to pull the trigger here, getting out earlier and trying to fit in as many miles as we can before 11:12 and after 5. Unfortunately, as somebody realized again here last night, trying to find dispersed campsites after dark can be a challenge, just because things which are very evident with any amount of light are basically impossible to find unless you trip over them. So our plan for this morning is we are making a mad dash to some cemetery we picked, which is hopefully road accessible. Walter, the trail angel that met us in Goreville, is going to come grab us, take us 10 minutes up the road to the Maconda post office that has such short hours. We're going to grab new shoes because my feet have been taking a real beating the last day or two. And then he is just going to bring us right back after maybe a coffee or 12. I think at this point we only have about 50 some miles of the river to river left until it stops at Grand Tower. We will have done most of the trail. We just missed out on the early bit because the ADT joins after those two initial kind of flangs. And then after that, we think it's mostly tracing the levee north until we get into St. Louis. So we are kind of looking forward to that. Obviously, we have a big soft spot in our hearts for the Mississippi after last year. And Jen lights up every time I mention maybe we can bushwhack down to the Mississippi and do a camp on the side of the river. And we won't even have to worry about those paddler people taking our campsites, because apparently the water's really high and they're having a hell of a time getting to shore and finding any place to camp. And if it sounds like I don't have a ton of sympathy for them, high water also means they were flying. Like, we were having to struggle to get any mileage. We've heard stories of people who were out on high water years and they were flying along at 10 miles an hour. St. Louis, of course, is a big city, and we do take care going through areas like that, just making sure we're not out in a not so great neighborhood after dark, you know, yada yada, normal basic precautions. But generally there are hotel options going through areas like that, and we have a lot of really nice trail angels who have reached out to us in that section, including a couple who came and helped us out when we went through on the Mississippi part of that, including one we're really looking forward to having a positive interaction with and not dropping a tree on her, since we are 0 for 1 on that.
Sorry, Sabrina.
Whenever I get reception and I am checking the news, it seems to be all about the heat wave that's hitting everybody. And I even saw there were some like evac stuff going on the AT with some folks. Unfortunately, the forecast for today, while it's just in the upper 80s, lower 90s, it did say it was going to be humid. And I am already basically soaking wet. And once again, for a trail where I get told by people on the internet how it's all roadwalks, etc., I sure have been eating a lot of spider webs on dirt. Plus side, my tooth has mostly cleared up. There's still a little bit of tenderness around there, but it seems to have gotten better after that really bad day where we went into the cabin and I had to take painkillers. I am taking the antibiotics just as a precaution, and that should at least clear up the sinus issue. But it's more foot issues, at least for the moment. Damn it, and this really insistent horsefly, Jen. Please murder him. And in this episode of Massatators Does America, Blondie's weird obsession with the dead. So I don't know if it comes across in the video, but you see this is just like sopping wet. Everything's covered in sweat. Oh, humidity. I just keep telling myself 100th meridian, just have to get to the 100th meridian. So I'm always paranoid and looking at little things like that because, yeah. Oh, look at him, Jen. He's so cute with his little chewy mouth and his little grippy claws. And we are at 4 of these little ticks and counting. Couple goals, recreational tick checking. Now, I was thinking of offering this as a Patreon reward tier at one point, but I'm like, oh yeah, everybody wants me to keep my pants on, not take them off. Okay, now you're just fondling. Ooh, is this one? I'm trying to capture the amount of spider webs on Jen's hat, and it's actually really difficult, but they're like all over. Jen has this fun little habit where she takes off, and I assume she's checked the map and she is taking off down the trail, but she's not. She just picks a direction and starts walking. And then if we're late for our trail angel, it's because somebody went 90 degrees the wrong way.
I check the map periodically, but it's
Very
if you
periodically.
check it too much, then I feel like it pulls you out of the moment.
When she says she checks it periodically, every time I'm looking at mine going, Blondie, we went the wrong way, then she checks her map. Actually, I was being unfair to poor little Blondie here. Actually, she went 180 degrees in the wrong direction. Ooh, that guy she doesn't like is over there somewhere. He was gone for a long time, Jen. I was looking for him for the months while you weren't here. That guy's pretty well traveled though. All the Mississippi, all those miles. Ah! That wasn't him, that was a horsefly. As usual, we're never quite sure what we're gonna get out here. Some sections of the base map make it look like there are roads. And then you get out here and maybe it was a roadbed a long, long time ago. And now it is a brush-choked area covered with lots of little ticks. Watch out for that tick, Blondie. It's everywhere. Okay, and we think we are close to where we are meeting our trail angel. Though I feel kind of bad. There is not a dry stitch of clothing anywhere on my body this morning. Humidity is back up to like 80-90%. Okay, we think we have step one. Now we just hope that they actually have the package with my shoes, because otherwise I'm in trouble. This is a flavor that I was able to get at one of the places I worked, and it is actually one of my favorite, and I have not been able to get a good one since not being in Boise anymore. Or Dayton. Sadly, Miss Taters has been taken over by pod people who don't want a coffee that also includes ice cream.
The coffee wasn't bad, but the real win was the fact they had bagels with cream cheese and veggies.
Okay, and Walter took us in for coffee. We got to the post office. We got my new shoes, which are ridiculously more plush than the old ones. This was fully collapsed. I'm also switching out the Frog Tog for this Lightheart gear jacket, and we have a couple of minor chafing things that I needed several weeks ago, and I have now. That is kind of the trick, because unfortunately, whatever crisis I'm having now, if I'm like telling my parents, hey, rush out to the post office and send it right away, I get it in like 2+ weeks, and usually I'm on to a completely different challenge. 2 days ago, it was all about the tooth. Now it's all about the feet. Who knows? Now it's going to be about Lyme disease, considering we picked off like 5 of those little ticks this morning. And there was a Lone Star tick on my sock when I was swapping.
Went back and they still had my records. And
we actually were running around the other day trying to get coffee because I was out of veranda. I'm like, oh, I need more. My parents did send more, plus I was able to buy a very reasonable amount. Ignore Miss scrunched face McNegative bottom back there. So now we have a reasonable amount of coffee. And we are back just in time to fully embrace the heat of the day. Because while Jen is still trying to embrace the suck, I have transcended the suck. You've never seen the movie Spaceballs, so if I start going, suck, 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 you're going to misinterpret that. You're going to think it's dirty. It is a quote from a classic movie. They were sucking all the oxygen out of the poor people's planet. Jen is in kind of a weird phase at the moment, keeps telling me not to put things on YouTube, etc. She's not filming me happily stomping on all the rocks going, ha 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 ha, I cannot be stopped. New shoes. Oh, turtles. Okay, so get closer and try and do a zoom shot. I just like the rocks and the view. Could do without the drippiness though. So one of the things I really enjoyed about the Buckeye was how clearly marked and blazed it was, so I could relax, and we didn't end up going the wrong way. You might notice from the direction of the sun, it looks like we are going the opposite direction we should be. And that is because, once again, the turn wasn't well marked.
Okay, there was a blaze there. But yeah, it's just, you know, when there's so many trails all over the place, you pay more attention and it kind of pulls you out of the moment a little bit.
And the blazes have gone the wrong direction in a few cases. To Jen's credit, she did actually make the right turn back there. For once! Yay!
Meanwhile, I'm enjoying how finally Matt's not complaining about his feet.
Oh, was I complaining too much just because I had that much foam and the rocks were driving through it?
Instead, he is bouncing happily along, enjoying his new shoes and how well they protect his feet.
Jen, let's go. And welcome back to Maconda, home of one of the least happy postal employees I have ever met. And that is really saying something with my last couple of years. So the post office is actually across the way, but this is where we came for coffee and sandwiches this morning. So when we talk about how small the ticks are, it can be hard because you look at it and you're like, oh, is that something? Oh no. And yeah. And these things do not want to, oh, there he goes, come off. I think that's the 7th one today. It may look like I'm being mean and eating in front of Jen, and I kind of am, but that's just because she didn't want a sandwich, so I am just eating with great satisfaction. So I just met a lady who told me how stalkers were paying people to take pictures of her on their phone and send it to them, and then they would break into her house and like her clothing would go missing.
When I was inside ordering food, why do you get all the interesting encounters when I'm away?
You see this face? This face goes, are you crazy? Please approach and discuss. Them crack whores that don't appreciate a relationship, they decide to talk to me. Not anybody else, just me. The pot wizard from New Mexico, he didn't talk to anybody else. Pot wizard's like, I just have that face. Use caution in the garden, Jen.
Something you don't get to do a lot once you become a full-time teacher.
Yeah.
So they actually, you know, pay for the subs so you could go for a day.
And once again, this trail is going through high vegetation, probably covered in ticks.
Okay, it was worth it to come through this field so we could see a turtle.
The turtle's like, I was all alone in this field. What are you doing? I missed Jen's exasperation when she caught sight of that after we bushwhacked back here. Totally on trail, Jen.
That section totally threw me because it felt like we were off the river to river.
And then there's Matt's version, which is the person that said the trail has been really well marked has literally gone the wrong direction at least a half dozen times today. Yes. Yes, I am. Because it's not just going the wrong direction. It is confidently setting off in the wrong direction in such a way that your loving partner goes, oh, she obviously checked the map. Otherwise, she wouldn't have decisively made that decision. It's leadership. Even if you're wrong, run off that cliff quickly. Kids these days, they're watching too much Wile E. Coyote, and when he charged off the cliff and didn't look right down, it worked. Goddamn Looney Tunes. Hey, look on the bright side, Jen. We don't have to feel dumb for missing that turn because there was no turn. It was literally just bushwhack across a overgrown field and then do whatever we're doing now. Technically, they are tick-infested thorn bushes, just to be accurate. This has been very therapeutic because finally I can point and explain to Blondie that, see, this is what happens. This is why you enjoy the road walks.
Here's another random thing we saw while doing this.
So in addition to this just minor frustration, we are dealing with some chafing on my side. I think it's just due to the humidity skyrocketing again. So that delayed us a little bit. We've had to stop and swap underwear and put on various things. And at this point, it's kind of a management thing. The damage is already done. I choose to view this as the universe sending an example because Taters was just talking about why do people mow grass the other day because she just likes the wild weeds and everything. Oh, and then the universe sends berries so she doesn't care that she's getting me covered in ticks. Won't somebody please think of Matt's tick-ridden testicles here? So we have no idea why they are so excited about the burial site of Illinois Senator Paul Simon, but this is at least the third sign we have seen for it. Hey Jen, look, cars. Okay, this trail is annoying us a little today because we thought we were on the nice trail, but it looks like they decided to route it along this.
After a few miles of road walk and that unmaintained cut across, we are into the Cedar Lake area and back to the well-maintained trail that's been most of the river to river so far.
Okay, so between the route delays, my issues with my foot this morning, the mail retrieval, eating, and now the chafing issues, we are not going to make a full day today, but we're going to try and crawl on a little further. And yeah, humidity. So it is a little before 7, but I think we're done. We got an early start, and I've got enough issues where it is a crawl, and when I'm dealing with chafing and like the foot issues, if I spend time crawling and I do more damage, then that'll hold me back tomorrow. So it's silly to push on, I think. Which sucks because we have not had the most productive week after a very productive last couple of weeks. Am I doing it sexily?
Gotta like arch your back more. That did show off your butt. And here, Matt braves Mill Creek with its schools of hungry fish nibbling at his toes.
Not my toes, the other dangly bit. I think I've been sexually assaulted by a fish. Maybe they're eating the ticks off me. We found another tick, so.
That is possible, yeah. All to get a little bit cleaner and fresher and hopefully mitigate the effects of chafing. Do another sexy pose.
Fish.
We set up camp in the daylight today, kind of nice for a change. And we've got the sounds of the burbling Mill Creek in the background. That's always really nice in the evening. We're making rice and beans for dinner, yum yum, and gonna watch an episode of Fallout, which I am jury's still out on that one. I don't normally go in for the post-apocalyptic stuff.
It had doggies.
Matt keeps assuring me this one's got enough humor in it that I'm gonna be good with it, and it is somewhat compelling, so we'll see how that goes. Home sweet home for the night.
I'm not sure about the necrophilia rules in Illinois. I think it was still legal in New Jersey, though. There was a radio host in LA called Bill Handel who on Valentine's Day every year would do a thing on necrophilia and why it is a victimless crime.